the last video that I put up about sort of the more psychological manifestation, personal development, whatever you want to call it, video that I put up called How I Fixed My Self-Image and Made $1 million, actually went really, really well. And I figured I'd continue the theme of sort of the new direction of this channel, which, I'm still going to talk about like practical business stuff, but I really just want to make videos just because I enjoy it. Like, I don't even need to. Our business will do, on a bad day, $4,000 profit, on a good day, $10,000 profit, which is like $10,000 to $25,000 in sales a day pretty consistently. 3 is actually probably a low day. And I don't even really need to make videos to do that, right? So I really just enjoy making content. I just really, really enjoy it. And my wife is like, babe, you need to make more content because people really care about your voice and everything. And I'm like, nah, like, there's so many people that are so much more successful than me and doing way better than me. I feel like, I don't know, like, why would people want to like listen? And that's a total mindset issue that I'm personally overcoming. So I'm back onto the grind. I want to make more content. So in today's video, I want to talk about how I'm doing that. I want to talk about how I am. Okay, so I want to talk about practically how I'm doing that, how the business actually generates that revenue. And I'm just going to kind of glance over that, but then I'm going to spend a lot more time on the belief changes that needed to happen in me in order for that to be a reality. Because, your life as it stands now, your current situation, if you look around your bank account, your quality of life, your relationships, your health, your wellness, your overall satisfaction with your state of being, the happiness levels that you possess every day, all these things, these are all byproducts of the decisions and actions that you've committed over time. So compounded, right? So a situation can worsen and worsen and worsen, in a negative sense, even down to like, suicidal tendencies, right? Or it can better and better and better up to a point of intense influence, like, worldwide influence and incredible, happiness and personal sense of self-satisfaction and self-actualization. It can go in either direction based on really, I would say, a 2 to 6 year time frame of decisions and actions. And those decisions and actions can be considered the branches off of the trunk of your tree, the trunk being the beliefs that you currently possess. So your beliefs about who you are, your beliefs about the world around you, your beliefs about money and how money works, your beliefs about what people do and don't buy, which is a very, very common hurdle for a lot of beginners. Like, oh, they'd never buy that. Nobody'd ever buy this. Well, if you think nobody would ever buy it, then guess what? You're definitely not going to get anybody else to buy it. You know what I mean? So, and I want to talk about some of that stuff with myself because, I used to have a really hard time. Like, the first money I ever made on the internet was a $30 product. You know what I mean? Now I have people that pay me $30,000 and don't even blink. Like, they're just like, yep, oh, $30,000, you can help me get to 7 figures? Sure, I'll pay you $30,000, whatever, here you go. What do I do? Tell me what to do. And it's really cool. And, it's just because I solve a bigger problem and I've built more authority for myself and the business is just consistent, So I'm going to get into it. So let me talk about practically what my business does, how it works and everything. And then I'll talk about the mindset stuff. So practically, here's all I do at a very, very, very high level. And if you want me to go more in depth on our funnel and all this stuff, I can totally do that on this channel too. High level, I used to run this business that I'm now talking about off of this YouTube channel. I made very business-related content, marketing, sales, all that stuff. And people would schedule consults with me in the description, and then I would enroll the people that I thought I could help into our programs and products, right? And now today I have a bit more of like you could call it a more refined marketing system that doesn't require me to be an influencer all the time. So I can be an influencer and not need anything from my content, which is the best place to make content from. Is a place of like zero need, just trying to add value, just wanting to be a good voice and help people, which is just so fun. It's so fun to be there right now. Honestly, it's very fulfilling. So anyway, that's what we used to do to market it. Now what we do is we actually have an ad. We use Facebook, YouTube, and a couple other platforms. Facebook's the main one just because I know it best, but it would work on any advertising platform really. And we run it to what is called a VSL funnel. And this is where we collect a name, phone, and email information from somebody. In return, we send them a training video. And in that training video, we explain our strategies and methodologies. And at the end, we offer them to book a call. Okay, so out of 100 leads that opt in to watch this thing, about 10 will book a call right off the video. Another 10 will book meetings with us off of the email sequence that they get enrolled into. So they're getting a daily email from us, which is just a very value-forward email explaining somebody else who got results with our system and everything. And then another 10 will book meetings off of the team that I've trained, where we actually give a quick call to these leads and just hear about their business, hear what they're doing and everything. And if we think we can help them, or we think that it's worth their time to go deeper, then we'll invite them to do so, right? And so, we'll turn 100 leads into about 20 to 30 meetings. And then of those meetings, we'll enroll about 25% into our offers. And our offers range anywhere from $2,000 to $50,000. So it just kind of depends on the person and what their stage of business is and everything. And so, we're consistently doing that. So that's the business, right? And what we do, I feel like I didn't even describe that, what we do. What we do is we help experts, coaches, people with a product, particularly a coaching product, in any niche, as long as they're a real expert, as long as they can answer yes to this question. If somebody was fully committed to themselves and fully committed to change and fully committed to you, do you think you could help them? If somebody can answer yes to that question, then we can help them build a multiple 6 or 7 figure business. I've been doing that for 6 years. Okay. And when I first got started in it, I was stuck at like $2,000 or $3,000 a month until I discovered some of the stuff that I'm talking about today, which I kind of referenced in my other video, how fixing my self-image made me $1 million. But I wanted to go deeper on some of that stuff because, and maybe just make it more practical and expand more on the other branches off of the beliefs, right? So one branch is the self-image, which is really just who you think you are. And if you want, you can check out my previous video on this channel where I go in depth on sort of the work that I had to do on myself to feel worthy of success. Because people look at where I'm at, and it's really easy to feel like, oh man, like it just comes so naturally to him. He just does it. You know what I mean? That's like vehemently not true. Okay, and I even had a lot of support from parents, family. I was really lucky in that way. I had a lot of great mentors and guides, and I still was just like, there's something wrong with me. You know what I mean? And even to this day, if I'm careful, I'll wake up in the morning and be like, something's wrong, something's off with me. I feel off, or I am not where I need to be, or wherever. And I've looked into that, and I've spent some time really discovering that, and I found that it's often just an imposter syndrome that I'm still fighting to this day. And I think everybody fights it. But the problem is when that imposter syndrome becomes, you think it's true. You know what I mean? If you can pin it and see it's not true, then it no longer has power over you. And that's really what you have to do with a lot of beliefs. A lot of beliefs have to be pinned and told that they're not true in order for you to have power over your life again. So let's talk about this. I think a good format is just to kind of go into a series of belief shifts that I had to do for myself that created this. Okay. So I'll get into it. Okay. So belief shift 1 was I had to genuinely believe in my heart of hearts that my life was 100% a byproduct of my own decisions and actions. There's no force outside of me that created this life. There's nobody to blame, and there's nobody to give credit for my successes or failures other than myself. And growing up in the church, growing up Christian, I had a hard time with that for a while. I was like, oh, but God blesses people. And it's like, whoa, hold up. In Scripture, it says that you'll know them by their fruits, right? You'll know people by their results. Their decisions are still there's still consequences to decisions, positive consequences and negative consequences to decisions. Positive and negative, both are consequences. And so I had to get rid of the idea that God just kind of randomly is this genie, you know what I mean? It's like, no, he set up a world in a way where based on how we act and based on what we do, we get what we deserve, right? It's a very just world. And that was kind of another thing I had to believe is to start to believe the world is not unjust. Only people who are failing and who can't take blame or credit for their failure and point their finger at somebody or something for why they are where they are believe that the world is unjust. If you yourself believe that the world is just, then you believe that your circumstances are just, and now you can get to work, right, on changing them. And so I had to really work on that. So that was belief number 1, was that. The second belief was that I am just as equipped as anybody else to learn any skill or learn any strategy as anybody else. And if somebody else is succeeding at something, then I probably can succeed at it too. And this took a minute too. This belief is key. The belief that I am just like anybody who's succeeding. There's no real fundamental difference. The world loves bucketing people. It loves bucketing people. We're addicted to identity politics. We're addicted to, looking at myself as a skin color or as a socioeconomic circumstance or whatever. You know what I mean? And we're addicted to this. We're just addicted to it. And the reason why we love it is because, and I don't mean to get too political here, but, I think that the government loves separating the people so it can stay in power. Whoa, don't turn me off. That's one. You wonder why the media keeps talking about it. It's probably why they keep talking about it. But the other one is we love reasons outside of our own decisions why things are the way they are. Okay? Now, am I saying that people are all born into the exact same circumstances? Absolutely not. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is one individual who's given $5, another individual who's given $5, whether that 5 is gone today or is turned into something bigger tomorrow is dependent on the individual decisions of the people. We can all agree on that. There's very little room to argue that, right? And so you have to believe that the world is just. You have to believe that you have exactly what you deserve. And moreover, you have to then begin to believe that you can learn any skill or any talent or any whatever that other people are doing. So that leads me to the third belief. And this is one that really helped me. And this is, I haven't heard anybody say this. I haven't heard anybody talk about this. It's just something that I kind of worked with. I decided to work on myself like somebody I cared about. I decided to work on myself like somebody that I wanted the best for. And then I started to have the inner dialogue that came with that. And one of the dialogues that came of that decision was, let me use envy as a guiding light to show me who I need to learn from. And that was a huge deal for me. It went from envy, I don't want to look at them. Envy, I'm going to unfollow them. I can't stand to see them. To, wow, they really have something that I want. What are they doing that I could learn how to do? And unless it was something, out of their own control, then, which would be like, let's say they're like a certain height or something. Like I'm 5'8". I'd like to be 6'4". Doesn't matter how much I pay a guy who's 6'4". I'm not going to be 6'4", right? It doesn't matter how much I learn from a guy like that. I'm just not going to be 6'4", right? So there's physical limitations, but not many limitations. They end at the physical, and they end at a few key physical limitations. If you look at somebody and they have the body that you want, you got to accept like they know something or they're doing something that you're not doing. It's just that simple. And there's a lot of power there when you can accept that in all humility. When somebody's making the money that you want to make, or they have the influence that you want to have, or they have whatever it is, there's something you can learn from them. So learning to see envy as a beaming light of like, you need to learn from this person. You need to. And so I did that. I remember I was 18 years old and I invested $2,000 into a guy who he was making like, I think he was doing like $35,000 a month or $40,000 a month with like a online course product. And I was just like, dude, that's insane. I remember thinking $30,000 a month was like insane. I looked up at this guy like he was a freaking god. Honestly, I was nervous for our Zoom coaching calls. I remember he hopped on the call, and I literally remember him being like, "You good, dude?" Like, he literally said that. Because I was so fanatically obsessed with how much money he was making, which is $30,000 a month, which is like not that much money. Which is really funny looking back. And so, but I paid him $2,000, and I was just like, just show me what you're doing. Like, I don't even care. Like, show me what you're doing. And so I just got obsessed with that. I was like, I'm just going to have a humble heart and learn and let my envy drive who I need to learn from. And that's a huge key now, because I think a lot of people, they take this posture. It's very interesting what social media has done to us. This idea that like, you got to just turn off social media. There's so much comparison. And I'm like, yes. And you can find people who have what you want and learn from them. Like, you can either be like, the world is the problem, or you can be like, I'm the problem. Why do I have such an envious heart? Why can't I accept that there's something I can learn always and just have that humility about me? And so, I still would struggle with envy. I think anybody does. I still struggle with jealousy. But when I'm in the right headspace, I'm like, all right, what exactly am I jealous of? Is it the results? Is it the way that they hold themselves? Is it the work they're doing? What exactly? I pin it, and I'm like, okay, that's the thing I'm jealous of. Okay, what can I learn, right? And so that's the next belief. The fourth belief. So, these are just the beliefs I've had to develop. The fourth belief was, I don't really know how to put it, that time can collapse. So what I mean by that is time is not this like, it's going to take 2 years. It's going to take 5 years. It's going to take 10 years. this idea that like, it's going to take so long. I think here's what I mean to say. My belief was a genuine, I don't care how long it takes, I'm going to do it. Right? And literally meaning that. So when somebody says, I don't care how long it takes, we say that sort of a thing so much as a culture that it kind of goes in one ear and out the other. Right? I don't care how long it takes. Like, okay, do you really mean that? You know what I mean? And the only way to really not care how long it takes is to enjoy the process, enjoy the growth, that feeling of growth from the process, and moreover, lean into who you're becoming as opposed to just what you're getting, right? And so I started to enjoy the process of becoming over the process of getting. I started to enjoy the process of becoming a skillful marketing, sales, leadership weapon, and watching myself become that as opposed to just what I was getting. The money was great, but I had to love the becoming over the getting. And once I started to love the becoming over the getting, then the getting came easy, right? And so time had it's a non-factor. How long it takes. The reason you're like, well, how long is it going to take? It's because you're obsessed with the outcome. So I think that's what I'm trying to say. The next belief was detaching myself from the outcome. So needing nothing, but working as if I'm achieving everything I've ever wanted, right? So, yeah, it was really just like detaching myself from the outcome and not needing anything. And, when you come from a place of need, people can sense it, the world can sense it, and, anything in life, anything good in life, there's very few things that you can name that are good in life that aren't the byproduct of a good relationship. For example, your business is the summation of your relationships with your clients or team or customers or whatever, right? Your marriage, obvious. Friend circle, family life, any of that stuff. It's all relationships. And so when you come from a place of need and you need something, you need this to work, you need this person to think this of you, you need whatever, you crimp your style, man. Like, no better way of putting it. You just crimp your style. And I think people can sense that. And need often comes from a self-image of lack, an idea that you deserve that lack. And so need comes from this place of like grasping for straws. You know what I mean? Excuse me. And I had to, whoa, that was weird. My back of my throat closed up. That was weird. So you have to let go of the outcome, detach your need of the outcome, and enjoy the journey for what it is, enjoy the process. And what's interesting is you actually end up going way further. You actually end up making way more money, doing way better, because not every day is, oh my gosh, I have to make this. This needs to, And, yeah, that was the next belief. I would say another belief, and I'm losing order now. It's no longer this belief, then this belief, then this belief. Just another belief that I had to change was really that businesses are just complex systems. And I used to hear this and not really get it. So I'd be on your end of things. I'd hear somebody saying that, somebody who's doing really well in business. I'd hear them say that and be like, what on earth are you talking about? What does that mean when you say businesses are just systems? And I so wish I could sit here with you as you're watching this YouTube video, have a cup of coffee with you, and explain how profound that idea really is for your financial future. The idea that a business is just a system, right? Because what is a system, right? And a system, at the end of the day, can be, a system is much like the word machine. It's only a few steps away from the word machine. And a machine might be easier to define because the system feels kind of vague, but a machine has there's physical counterparts to the word machine that are maybe more available, right, when you think about it. And one example of a machine is like an engine, like a car engine. The whole point of a car's engine is to reduce is to take minimal effort and create maximal gain for it. So a car, in order for me to move at 15 miles an hour as a human body, I have to sprint the hell out of like I have to sprint, right? I have to use energy. I'm trying to find the words. I'm just going to make it really simple. I have to use a lot of energy to move. With a car, I have to move my ankle like this. And in between the ankle movement and me going 80 miles an hour down the freeway is a set of systems, processes. It's a machine that converts a form of energy into movement. The energy that a car uses is gas, right? And it turns the gas into movement by igniting the gas, which sends energy into the cylinders, and it spins the wheels, and it does all these things. A business uses other forms of energy, and there's many forms of energy that you can invest into your business. Money's the obvious one. So, for example, previously I mentioned our sales funnel. We spend this money on ads. That's a form of energy. We're spending about anywhere from depending on the day, $2,000 on a low day when we're really, really booked up. We don't need to spend that much money. We'll spend $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 on days where we need to get some more appointments set up, and so it kind of fluctuates. So on average, like $3,500, $4,000 a day, something like that. But it goes up and down just depending on how the sales team's doing and everything like that. So that's energy. This right here is also a form of energy. My attention, my time, that is a form of energy. Attention is probably the most scarce resource we have. You have to be the most careful with investing in that than any other resource. So money, attention, I'm far more careful with my attention than I am with my money. My attention is very, very delicately invested, whereas my money, take it or leave it. You know what I mean? I'll put it wherever. Don't get me wrong, I'm diligent with it, but it's nowhere near as important as my attention and my energy. Attention, energy, time, money, love. Love is, I think, a form of energy. You know, when you pour love into something. So a business is an accumulation of your personally invested time, money, energy, love, attention, and it turns those forces into an output, which is more money for you. So it takes all of that through a complex set of systems, marketing, sales, client, whatever, turns it into more money for you. So when you start to see a business not as this complex whole, like for example, imagine, here's a great way of putting this. Imagine you want to make your car go faster, but you have no idea how an engine works. The study of business is very similar to the study of an engine. If you want to make the car move faster, you study business to make yourself make more money. It's that simple. If I wanted to make my car move faster, I'd know jack all about how to do that, to be completely frank with you. I have no idea how I would do that. The only thing I could conceive of is maybe aerodynamics and making the car a little bit lighter, maybe. But I don't know anything about the engine. You know what I mean? How the engine actually works. I couldn't get in there and make it faster, make it use less gas. And you can start to, as you think about a car's engine, you can start to think about your business in a very similar way. Okay, how do I make this thing move faster? Let's zoom out. How do I make this thing move faster? How do I get this thing to maybe use less gas? So how do I get my business to use less of my time, energy, money, and attention and give me more output, more yield, right? How do I get this thing to last longer on less gas? Okay, how do I get my business to use less financial resources to fulfill its client delivery needs and, whatever? And so, but the problem is this mode of thinking that a business is a system does not come naturally to a beginner because all they see are many other people's finished end products. And when you're looking at a finished end product, it doesn't feel like a system. It's easy to forget that you are in a system. You are a cog in a business's machine when you're buying a product. And I don't mean that in any sort of a tyrannical way. You're not like the boot of capitalism is, I don't mean that. I mean, you're a part of the system. And so a lot of beginners, the average human only spends money on extremely refined products and services. Very rarely in your life do you buy something from a company or a business that hasn't been around for a very, very, very long time. The camera I'm using is produced by Canon cameras. They've been around since I think the 60s, maybe way earlier. Actually, I think it's the 40s maybe. They've been around a freaking while, okay? Almost a decade. So, I buy one of their cameras, and it's a great product. But it's because it's been refined. So the reason why this is important is because what happens is beginners in business, they are looking at the end product of many people's systems, and they themselves can't appreciate the work that was done on the system, and then they do the wrong work. So they either model somebody else's system, the surface of that system. They model the surface. They see, oh, it's this color, I'm going to make it that color. They see, oh, this is how they hold themselves in their content. I'm gonna kind of posture like that. Right? Does that make sense? And so instead of saying, hold up, back up, I'm looking at their system. Instead of modeling the surface of their system, why don't I really discover the whole system, really buy some of their products, do whatever, and take the time to really pick apart what's making it work, and then take things that I like from their system and use it in my system instead of modeling the whole thing. So when I was just getting started, the way that this applies to me is when I was just getting started is, when you start to see business as just a system, then all of a sudden money becomes a byproduct of a system. And now no longer does money have all this emotional baggage to it. It's no longer $1,000 is like life-changing money in my bank account, which it used to be. Now it's $1,000, you know what I mean, is, I don't know, a quarter of the profit from a sale. Right? And so I've taken $1,000 and I've put it where it deserves to be, which is the byproduct of my system working. And this is if you can really pick up on what I'm saying, this is really a profound change in your thinking. Because a lot of people, money stays this emotional thing. So maybe that would bring me to the final belief, which is money being a very emotional thing, and me being very emotionally vested in how much money I have in the bank account. How much, am I doing good? Do I feel good about myself right now? You know what I mean? Or am I not doing that good and I feel terrible about myself right now? To money is just, it's the byproduct of my system. And I don't look at my bank account to know how I'm doing. I look at how the system is doing, because my bank account's always about a week, a month, 6 months, a year lag from how my system is doing. Does that make sense? So I don't look at the bank account. I do look at my bank account, but I don't, you know what I mean? I look at the system. Look at the KPIs of that system. I look at how the team's doing, everything like that. And so if you're just getting started, you need to look at your skills. You need to look at your ability to produce, your ability to sell, market, create content, advertise, get yourself out there, build a name, build a brand, build leverage through these things. And your abilities to do that. Don't look at what's in the bank right now, because what's in the bank right now is honestly irrelevant, because it's so incredibly subject to change based on you just learning some new stuff. You know what I mean? And so people are like, oh, I've got $1,000. Oh man, how do I, oh geez, it's like, hold up, relax. Money is like an infinite game. And if you make decisions based on where you are now, you're probably going to stay there. Right? So I had to really change that in myself too. So anyway, I feel like I got a little bit off track with this video, but if you've watched this whole thing, I really appreciate it. And that shows me that you value the mindset end of business. And I don't even like that word mindset, because it's just like people are like, oh, you got to have a better mindset. And that means so much. Therefore, it means nothing, right? So like some people, when they hear mindset, they think more motivation. It's not what mindset is. Some people hear mindset and they think visualization boards and manifestation. It's also not what mindset is. Both of those things are components of a good mindset. You know what I mean? But so anyway, there's a whole lattice work of beliefs that go into the version of you that you'd like to become, which brings me to the next point here, which is, if you watch this video this far, I feel compelled to tell you what's going on for me, which is that I'm working with a handful of people to work on their self-image, work on their mindset. Because honestly, mindset, and particularly my self-image and the beliefs that I had, my self-image and the beliefs that I had, those were the differences between, $2, $3, $4, $5 a month and multiple 6 figures a month in sales consistently in my businesses. And so if you're interested, zero commitment, zero pressure. You can grab a free consultation with myself. It'll be the first link in the description. What we'll do on this call is I'll just ask you a bunch of questions and really try and understand what your goals are with your business. And if we both see that there's a mindset gap that's been holding you back, or there's some self-sabotage involved, or you've been working for a long time and not really seeing true progress, at least according to your personal standards, then I'll enroll you into this thing that I'm doing. And I'm doing it with a handful of entrepreneurs. And we'll see if we can get you to multiple six or seven figures in whatever business you run. We actually had somebody just join who has a marketing agency. We've got another person who joined who helps people start YouTube personal brands. That's their business. And we've got many other entrepreneurs who are serious about doing that inner work, because your business is just a reflection of you, right? And I want to build an environment where we can facilitate those conversations of what it looks like to become the you that has the business that you want to have. Because if you just work on the business, that's great. But if you work on the driver, sometimes that's a bit greater. Sometimes that's really what is necessary. And it's not necessary for everybody. I don't think this is for everybody. I think it's people who take their personal work very seriously. And so, yeah, you can book that call using the link in the description. For now, it'll be with myself. Maybe in the future, I'll start to build more of a devoted and caring team around this. But for now, it's just with me. So, yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you enjoyed a conversation about the beliefs that I had to change in order to become the business owner that I am today. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.